Hi, my name is Depression, and today I'm going to give you a few tips about pathing. Pathing means which routes you're going to follow, and depending on the expedition that you are on. I'm saying this because it really depends on the expedition that you are on. In this case, I'm going to show you 3 Cephalos. There are 2 important things that you need to know before starting an expedition, before deciding on a pathing. The first of all is which character you're playing. If you're playing multiplayer, what characters are your teammates playing? And the second one is which Night Lord you are going to go against. In this case, I have 3 Cephalos. 3 Cephalos is resistant to fire and weak to holy. So that gives you an idea on what you can take on. Now, the second thing that you have to keep in mind is where you are going to start on the map is totally random. It's RNG dependent in a way because there is good and bad RNG. For example, if you are right here where I am, I think this is a good spot to start an expedition. I think this is pretty easy because you have a great church usually in here, or maybe a fort, which is something that you can take on. And there is also a little camp around here that you can use to get up to level 1. And there is a gaol in here, which is isolated. This is important because I'm going to mention bad RNG in a few seconds. And actually, I'm going to mention it right now. This fucking place. This is dangerous, dude. Please pay attention to this. There are certain spots on the map. I actually have a video about this. If you want to look at it, I'm going to link it on the comments. There are spots on the map where bosses or mini bosses appear every single time. These bosses are not going to be the same boss, but they are going to be always there, okay? This is one of those places. There is always a boss in here. So let's say that we fell down around here, and sometimes there is a church in here. If there is a church nearby where you appeared, most likely you're not going to get a camp to level up to level 1, you know? So that is something to think about. Now, some people, because people like to use the Gaul meta, are going to want to go here immediately. And there is a boss in here, dude, and they are going to fight whatever the fuck goes out from here. Even if it's a Placidus X. I forgot the name of that dragon, but you know what I'm talking about. And the dude that is right beside the Gaul is going to attack you at the same time. So this is going to be a mess, okay? I just wanted to clarify that. This is bad RNG, this is good RNG. Those are 2 examples that I'm going to give you, but it's going to be different every time, dude. Just keep that in mind. You have to be mindful, you have to think before acting, okay? So, going back. We know we have a Gladius who is resistant to fire, so in a way we don't want to take this, but we are running a relic that gives us attack power increase for each Evergaol prisoner defeated, which most people are going to run. I don't like it personally because I get bored by fighting these things, but most people in multiplayer use it, so I think you should always bring it to you. And these specific structures, which are great churches and sometimes forts, let me see, this is a fort. These have special chests on them that may give you a stone sword key, which you are going to need to hit more Gauls. So let's say that you begin your expedition in here, you go to level 1, then you hit this, hoping you can find a Gaul. Then you hit this Gaul that you have right beside you. And in this case, as you can see, I have poison, and frost. I'm not too invested in doing any of that. Let me move real quick because the circle is closing. So, actually, let's keep talking. Yeah, I'm not too invested on taking any of that, you know? As raider, sometimes I like to hit these poison camps because if I get a roted great axe with poison on it, I really like to run that shit, you know? So that's something that you want to take into account. What character you're playing. If you're playing Iron Eye, for example, I don't know if you're aware, but some people use a relic that gives you an improved initial standard attack. So they use Iron Eye with 2 different bows on each hand. Let's say I have a holy bow that I'm going to use to take damage on my Tricephalos. And let's say that I also get a poison bow from here, you know? A serpent bow maybe. That could be beneficial, or a frost one. It depends totally on the character you're playing. If you're playing Revenant, then the great charge that you took to begin with, that is going to be really beneficial for you because, look, if you press triangle on the map, this is going to give you a tip of what kind of loot you can find in here. This is telling me that I can find seals in here. And this is going to apply for every great church. These things usually have related to magic sort of shit. These are towers. This one shows me a staff. Churches, dude. Churches are something that you should not prioritize. And by that, I mean that sometimes I have 4, I think even 5 churches around the map, and people want to take all of them. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't think you need to take even one of them. You can play the game using the 3 flasks that you get by default and then getting the 4th one after the 2nd day. And that is basically it for flasks. Of course, you may want to take a few extra ones, but I think 1 or 2 are a pretty sweet spot. Taking 3, looking at this map, is going to be a little bit difficult. Let's go back to the beginning. Let's imagine that we took this great church and that we found a key, okay? Then we went and hit the gal, and then we went and hit this other gal because we had 2 keys, you know? Then we may want to go and take this church, but this church is pretty far away. This is going to take you, you know, it's going to make you go back and forth. Like, I go here and then I go up, you know? So, in my own personal opinion, and I think you should think the same, I wouldn't go for this one. Unless there is something that I want in here. There is nothing that I want in here. So, after taking this gal, I will go up and take this one. If I'm really too invested in getting a flask at this point of the game, you know, which is the first day. Now, in this specific case, aside from the church, I also have a 4th in here. And there is a gal. So, it may be worth it to check this 4th. And let's say that I'm really fucking lucky. And I can hit another gal. And after doing all of that, I gotta start thinking about taking on the castle. I should be able to hit the downside of the castle and then clean all of the smaller enemies and leave the boss at the top for the 2nd day. Sometimes you are going to be able to take even the boss at the top because, yeah, there are combinations that are too strong, dude. If you have, let's say, a Wilder and Iron Eye and a Raider, this is going to be a walk in the park. So yeah, that will be all for the first day. 2nd day, it's going to be just finishing the loot. The map is going to open again and you are going to be in a randomized place. Let's say that the tree was around here. It's usually around here, I think, where the tree gets you to. There are places on the map, as I mentioned before, where you're going... Oh, look, actually, the tree is going to end up in here. So we're fighting on the castle, and it's going to start closing, which this is bad RNG also, by the way, because sometimes you have a lot of time to clean the castle. If you are right at the corner of the circle, though, what the fuck did I just say? Sorry, English is not my it's not my first language. I think you can tell. Yeah, so at the edge of the circle, I think. Damn, this is embarrassing, dude. Well, anyway, I don't care, to be honest with you. So yeah, you get the point. This is going to close pretty fucking fast, and you have to run away. And I personally don't like to be in a rush, you know? I like to have the time to do things properly. So yeah, that is bad RNG. But anyway, sometimes the tree appears in here, and that is going to be good RNG, because you have plenty of time to take on the castle. So yeah, now let's continue from here. We are on the second day, and we beat the boss and whatever. So we already took all of this area of the map, including the castle. The castle, we just need to beat the boss at the top. So that means that all of the north side of the map is open for us. Usually, the map is going to close around here. Sometimes that doesn't happen, so don't take it for granted. Okay? So, around here, as we mentioned before, there are going to be bosses that are always going to appear on the map. This is also going to be good and bad RNG, because depending on the bosses that appear, you're going to have to take decisions on what to take on and what to not take on. Since we are talking about day 2, if we have Leonine and the other lion that it's also a weak boss around here, it's not going to be too beneficial for us, because at this point of the match we are not looking forward to level up. We are looking more for passives and specific loot, you know? So this is going to be one of those instances where you need to make a decision on, should I go here? Should I go here? Because there are bosses in here too. There are bosses in here too. There is a boss in here too. Maybe I want to take on these great churches because I'm playing Revenant and I also have the relic for the Gauls. And maybe I want to look for a few more seals. And maybe I did find a key in those two places. So I can hit this Gaul and this Gaul. Then I can move to the fort, look for another key, and I'm the luckiest person alive, dude. So I hit this Gaul too. And then I have this church in here. So I can take the church. Maybe by this point, since I already looted here and beat these smaller bosses, maybe at this point the circle is closing. But I don't mind, because I'm just going to take the church, you know? I'm just going to take it and I'm going to run the fuck away from here. And I have this Gaul too, but there is nothing around here that gives me the option to look for a specific loot for which is the key, you know? So yeah, maybe I'm going to leave this Gaul, dude. And I'm going to hit the castle and I'm going to beat the boss at the top. And I'm going to have plenty of more options. Let's say the circle is closing around here. I can still beat the boss in here, maybe take these camps, maybe even take the church that I didn't take at the beginning of the match. You know, because I was lucky enough to have the tree closing around here. So you get my point. Sometimes it's not worth it to go for a church. Sometimes it's not worth it to go for a specific ruin or camp. Sometimes you can just ignore that, and sometimes you can eat everything up, you know? I've had runs where I was able to loot everything that I found in front of me because we were just too quick to do things. And that is something that you need to think about too. Now, I'm just going to mention again important things that you can see and take into account. Press options, you can see your map. If you press triangle, you can get an idea of what these places have to offer for you. So you can see where do you want to go first, maybe. Structures that are going to give you keys are going to be great churches and forts. Not guaranteed. You can find them in there, but it's not guaranteed. You can find keys on any other chest. The ruins have chests, so you can find keys in there. It's not guaranteed. There are chests on the castle, you can find keys in there too. Don't pay too much attention to the flasks. You only need 2 of them at most. And if you go to status, you can look into your teammates' relics and builds and whatever. You can see what the weapons they are using. You can see what relics they are playing. If you see all of them have the Gaul relic, it may be a good idea to hit more than one Gaul. If you see none of them is using the Gaul meta, you can try and do something else, you know? Gauls are not necessary. So I think that's pretty much sums it up, you know? I think that was... Now that I think of it, this would have been a better way to explain things. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the content. I hope this was beneficial for you. And please let me know in the comments if you have any questions, if you think that there is something that I didn't explain very well, if you think that I'm wrong about something too. But yeah, good luck and have a nice day.